And so why don't we go ahead and take our first call or question. Good evening. Welcome to the show. What's your question or comment?
Oh, thank you. Oh, so what I wanted to know was, when you have debt, when is it best to work it out with the creditor on your own? And at what point do you bring in a debt counsel or a third party to try to negotiate the debt?
That's a great question. The most important part to that question is sooner rather than later, whether or not you're doing it yourself or you're going to reach out to someone like us. The longer you wait, the further along it gets, that's when you start to have problems. And if you're doing it yourself, you want to make sure you don't make promises to them that you can't keep. Because one of the big problems we'll have is if they have an agreement they brought to their boss, it's all signed off on, and now we want to come in and change it later. So making sure you can do whatever it is you promised to do. And as far as you need help or not, it really depends on the individual. And, some people are able to go and negotiate. The more creditors you have, the more difficult it is to do it on your own. The reason is creditor A doesn't really want to give you concessions because they're going to pull your credit report. They see you've got 8 other creditors, and they have to wonder themselves, I wonder if they're going to call the rest of them and be able to get concessions because I don't want to drop my interest rate. I don't want to drop my fees. I don't want to give these benefits and have the other ones getting their full rates. So they know if you come on a structured debt management plan, all the creditors are going to be given interest rate breaks. All of them are going to be working with us, and none of them are going to get preferential treatment. And that's kind of one of the things they're always concerned about. So the more creditors you have is when you want to seek out professional assistance. And if you only have 1 or 2 creditors, depends on your personality. Can you be honest with them? Can you be straight with them? Are they going to intimidate you? Because a lot of times, collectors especially, they're really good at intimidating people, getting them to make promises that they can't keep, and then that really does make things bad for both.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. And that was a great question that she had is, when should I handle my finances on my own? When should I seek out a professional? And that really is the key. And if you've got 1 creditor, and it depends on how good you are and how much can you stand up to them. And if you are going to deal with them on your own, I say be very straightforward with them and let them know this is all I can do. And let them know specifically that I'm not going to pay any extra. So this is all I have, whether that's 20 a month or 40 a month, that's it. There is no more. And it doesn't matter if you call, if you harass, if you call me every day, this is all the money I can afford to put towards that. And likewise, if you can't pay anything, and there are people we talk to, they're in such a position they can't afford to make any payments, you're best off telling them that. Now, you run the risk, especially if it's a higher balance amount, higher dollar amount, that they might file suit against you. But that's going to happen anyway. Even if they're calling all the time, if they're not getting their money, if they're inclined to sue, they're going to sue. Some collectors sue and some don't ever sue. So you have to be, really, thinking about that. But if you can't pay them, there's no sense in having you call them all the time. And my experience has been, if you're straightforward with them and tell them, I have no money, I can barely make my necessary payments, you're not going to get it, don't call again. These people are paid on commissions. They'd rather spend their time on someone who they're going to be able to collect from rather than someone they know they're really not. And the second part of that is if it's a third-party collector, you have protections under the Fair Debt Collections Practices Act where you can send the collector a cease and desist letter, and we've got a sample version of it on our website, or we can email one over to you that you can fill out where you tell the collector that I know my rights under the law, I want to repay this debt, I can't at this time, or I can, but it's going to be this amount and nothing more. You send that, and then by law, they can't contact you again. Well, they can contact you 2 more times. One to tell you they received the letter, and they're not going to contact you. And the second time to tell you they're going to sue you, but then they actually do have to follow through with that. So those are some protections you have in place if you're being harassed by creditors, if you want to, stop them from calling you, stop them from harassing you, and you don't want to seek an intermediary to help you out.